Let us relax our bodies. Let us center our minds. Be here now. Think of yourself as centered in this one room, and let this one room be all there is in your thoughts, in your feelings, in your attitude. See this circle as a circle of light that becomes brighter and brighter and reaches upward to the teachers and guides, to all those that are helping us from the other side, to all those who have come to be with us this evening to learn also. Let us send God's love to all these, to ourselves, and let us send God's love to the message tonight, to the channel, and remember that each one here is as much part of the channel as the one who speaks. Think of peace and joy and love. Thank you, Father. This is our Wednesday night channeling, number 166, May 29th, 1991. Our title tonight is Doors. New doors are old doors that seem to be new. A door is a passageway to another room or another level of consciousness. As we descended from the Godhead with complete conscious awareness with God, we closed many doors behind us in order to have new experiences, at least that seem to be new and different. Gradually forgetting who we are. You are on your way back to the Garden of Eden, or the Godhead. You are now opening these doors to gain passage upward in consciousness, to rediscover that which you already know with a better understanding that comes from the many and varied experiences. To be complacent or satisfied with the status quo is to try to stand still in an ever-expanding universe, thus going backward. Life continues to move forward, whether you choose to or not. You are life, and you cannot tarry long in the back tides without feeling that urge. You may misinterpret it and use drugs or some other pacifier. You know what that will bring. The open doors are ahead of you to use or abuse. The way will always be upward towards a brighter light, even though you may choose to tarry in the dark and dimness. You are life, and the very nature of your being will bring you home to the reality of that which you truly are. Good evening, my dear ones. This is Don, coming to you from these realms of love and light. It is my privilege to bring to you the message tonight, and I would say greetings to you and to all those who are here that your physical eyes do not see, for there are many. There are many who come to these groups to learn and to grow. We ask you to send God's love to them and send God's love to all those in darkness and dimness, to send God's love lavishly to the whole universe and everything in it. But above all, my dear ones, send love to yourself and learn to love yourself. No matter what your experiences have been in the past, no matter what you're experiencing now, love yourself and let love be the key that opens the doors, that leads to a higher consciousness, that moves you forward on the path of light. It is a beautiful journey when you know that you are a divine, eternal being. It is a beautiful journey to feel the presence of the Father God within you as you walk the path of light. Use your inner image and often through the day, make that contact, make that feeling of oneness with all life, the knowing that all is one, the understanding that you cannot be separated from any part of life, the feeling that you are one with the family of life, that you have many relatives in your way of speaking on the physical plane, that you have many loved ones that you do not consciously remember at this time. There are many, many who are on the path of light throughout the universe, somewhat equal to yours. This was mentioned a night or two ago, and you were a little surprised to find out that there were many planets that are somewhat equal to yours throughout the universe. There are many that are below you in vibration, and many that are above you. There are many entities that work from the realms of love and light, but those on the lower dimensions from them. This may be above you or it may be below you. There's an ever-ending chain of those reaching up to receive help, but also reaching down to give help. This is the way that life is. It is ever expanding and bursting into more of itself. And it is love that brings the cohesive power and ties all together in the ever-expanding oneness that you feel. Remember through the day, throughout the week, remember who you are. Try not to delude yourself that you have so many things to worry about, that you have too many things to be concerned about, that your body is not as you would wish it to be. Try to rise above this. Try with the power and the beauty and the glory of God's love. And when you use this wonderful tool, you have the tool that you need to move through the doors that lead you to a higher consciousness of understanding. The messages that we bring to you on these weeknights are the ones that you can comprehend, that you can understand. If we were to go, let us say, a few thousand years in your future and bring you a message that your consciousness would understand then, it would be confusing to you now. And so some of you think that we repeat many things, and this is true. We do repeat them until you can move above and beyond the understanding of where you are into a greater light, brighter light of understanding. How can you do this? With practice, my dear ones. Practice loving. Practice loving yourself. Practice loving each other. Practice loving life. As you go through your day with thoughts of love, and you run into a so-called obstacle, love the obstacle. Love it until it no longer is an obstacle to you. Love it, my dear ones, until it vanishes. Then you are learning. Then you are moving above and beyond the physical understanding. Then are you using the mystical powers that God has inside of you, waiting to awaken. Many of you want to awaken these mystical powers inside of you. And I say to you, you must awaken one step at a time. You must use what you have been given. And as you use this that you have been given and start living it, then other doors begin to open to a brighter light, to a greater understanding, to a more beautiful you. You, my dear ones, are beautiful, bright stars in God's consciousness. You are His beloved children, and He loves you greatly. We love you, and the love that we give to you, sometimes you use it, and sometimes you do not get it. There are times when you allow yourself to falter and be tripped over your own feet of understanding. And then shall I be a little crude and say that sometimes you wallow in your misery? Yes. Not many times, not nearly as much as you have in the past, but you do this at times. I am being a little scolding to you tonight, but I want to help you to understand why you cannot open those doors to brighter lights until you have risen above the room of consciousness that you are in. This room of consciousness is a room that you have built into your inner self. If we could help you to understand this, if we could help you to realize that your thoughts, your feelings, your moods, your attitudes bring about the conditions in your life, bring about the happiness, the joy, the misery, the misunderstanding. When you truly do accept this as truth, then will you take the time to be loving much more often until it becomes a habit, until it becomes such a habit that you would not even consider to be otherwise. Think on this, my dear ones. When you come to the place in consciousness when you are loving continuously in your thoughts, in your actions, in your deeds, in your moods, your feelings, your attitudes, your desires, when you are truly loving as God loves, then are you free. Then can you open any door. Then the light shines brightly within you and all around you, and you move in consciousness forward very rapidly. There is much for you to learn, and I would try to paint you a word picture, as Aloha has often said this evening, to help you to realize how you can move from the room of consciousness and open the door to a brighter room, to a higher level of consciousness. How can you do this? As you awaken in the morning to this plane of consciousness, you open the door from the other dimensions to this dimension. And as you open this door, you may feel groggy, you may feel sad that you aren't here again, or you can choose to say, "Good morning, God, I love you. Thank you for this beautiful place that you have given me to abide in. Thank you for the wonderful things that you have given me to move from place to place. Thank you for all the many, many blessings." I tell you, the gratitude that you use brightens your path and gives you insight into yourself. Some of you study other people, and you have heard people say they are people watchers. I tell you, look within yourself, or if you do look at other people, see yourself in these others, and realize that whatever you see is a reflection of what you are within. Many of you would like to have a message tonight of someone from outer space to tell you many wonderful things about their planet from a very high being on another dimension. And yes, you will have this. This will come. But tonight, it is my privilege to speak to you in this vein so that I might help you to understand that which you must do to move forward. When you go to a movie and the critics say this is a good movie and you agree with them, then you are entertained. It could be the same way with coming to this class. You could be entertained and hear many beautiful and outstanding and far out things, or you can be enlightened. You can be enlightened. Think on this. What do I mean by being enlightened? You've heard these things that I am saying many times. How much of them are you living? How much of the truth, the eternal truth, the divine love, are you living in your day-to-day life? How many of your thoughts are less than loving? Ask yourself these things. And when you ask yourself these things, be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself enough to realize what you are doing and when you are doing it. Remember your self-awareness class and the little red book. Remember how amazed you were if you had not read it before, at how negative you were and did not know it. Go back to your basics, my dear ones, until you can live them. Go back to the understanding that you have been given. Go back to the basic truths, the foundation of your being. This foundation must be built strong and solid. I hear your thoughts. You may be tired of hearing this, and you would rather hear something more beautiful and outstanding and far out. But I tell you, my dear ones, to be true to you, I am repeating these things every once in a while to help you, to pound it into your consciousness, to help you to remember, to live the life. For this incarnation will soon be over. This incarnation is very short. Even if you live 200 or 300 years, that is a very short time in the sense of eternity. And when you are finished with this incarnation and add up the score, how will you feel about it? And I've said this before, but I'll say it again. If you left today, how would your score come out? Would you be satisfied with what you have accomplished in this incarnation so far? Yes, you have come a long way. All of you here are on the path of light. I do not believe there are any new ones here this evening. You are here because you want to know more. You want more enlightenment, and you expect higher enlightenment. I say to you, build your foundation stronger and solid so that you can stand upon it and reach upward. What will you find as you move higher in consciousness? Have you asked yourself this? You are working to move higher in consciousness, or you would not continue to come to these classes. You would not continue to study and to grow. You would not continue to seek and knock and ask. Ask yourself, what will you find when you open the next door to a brighter light? You will find a brighter you. You will find a happier you, a more enlightened you that feels that bit of elation. You will find yourself with more discipline, with a consecrated effort to be more every day. And you will find that you are much more power-filled and filled with love. My dear ones, when you truly learn to love as God loves, unconditionally, you will be as God is. These are the things that will move you to where you want to be. The higher beings, the master teacher, comes to encourage you, to give you their love, to inspire you. They come that you may have more influence to reach higher. Ask yourself, no one else, your inner self, are you moving forward each day? Are you improving each day? Do you have more light today than you had yesterday? Do you have more understanding? Are you more loving? Honesty is one of the attributes of divine love that you have studied. And to be honest with others is very easy. But sometimes it is difficult to be honest with yourself when you ask yourself these questions. Are you more loving? Are you more understanding? Do you give others freedom to be as they are, without criticism, without judgment? As you move through this incarnation, you must learn to check up on yourself now and then. You must learn to give yourself a test and grade yourself, just as you did when you were going to school. And if you did not pass your test, you stay in the same grade and take it over. And those things that you have not passed, ask God's help and ask us as the Master to help you and send love into yourself Send love into the situations and let love be your guiding light to accomplish that which you would be. For I know that deep in the deepest part of your heart, your greatest desire is to be the God that you already are, is to manifest the God being that you already are here and now. This is your greatest desire. No matter what role you are playing, no matter what is happening around you, your greatest desire is to allow God to live through you fully and completely, to manifest His beauty and His glory and His love on this physical plane through you. It is difficult sometimes, to be honest, and it is this time that I have chosen where all of you are students and have been students for some time. It is this time for you to think on these things and to give yourself the test. But do not wait for a class like this. At least once a week, or at least once a month, take the time out to sit down and write down the things that would make you, that would bring you into the full realization of your Godhood. Write down the attributes of love. And at the end of the day, maybe look at this list and see how you have done. Check yourself. This, my dear ones, is not always easy. It is difficult to be honest with yourself, completely and fully honest with yourself. Because for so many years, so many eons of time, you have blamed others, and you have not looked at yourself purposely and gone on your merry way to have experiences, and this is what you came for. But now you are coming to the end of this kind of lifestyle. You're coming to the end of living it up, shall we say, of just not being responsible. You know that you create your own reality. You know that you are responsible for that which happens in your life. And you know what it will take to bring you back home and open all those doors back to the Godhead, back to the Garden of Eden. I tell you, my dear ones, there is nothing standing in your way except you. You may think the world conditions are terrible and that you have to put up with this and that and many others, and the conditions around you. But you know, in the deepest part of your being, that it is you that keeps you from being continuously in the light of God's love. Now that you have had your, shall we say, sermon, or whatever name that you want to call it, let us raise our thoughts now to a brighter and a happier note. It is necessary to bring you to accounting now and then, but it is not necessary to concentrate on it all the time. When you move through this incarnation, try to think of others as well as you think of yourself. Try to think of how you can make others happy. Because, my dear ones, when you make others happy, you make yourself happy. When you can bring a little cheer into someone's life, that cheer has to come through you. When you can give light, the light of understanding to another, you're giving it to yourself. And it is beautiful and wonderful when you can love others regardless of what they are doing, and you feel good about it. You feel good about giving love to those who maybe are your sandpaper, maybe those who rub you the wrong way. When you can rise above this feeling of being disturbed by these individuals or situations or circumstances, and when you can send enough love into this and be loving enough that it no longer disturbs you, feel how good it feels to know that you have passed your test, that you have risen above this thing that is within you that has disturbed you, not the thing that is without. That is only reminding you of that which is within you. When you can love yourself enough to admit to yourself, to be joyful, to be happy, to be grateful in all things. Yes, there are many things that you can be unhappy about. If you don't have enough to pay your bills, if someone is giving you a bad time, if you do not have a job, many things. And there are many, many others on this planet who have the same thing, or even worse. But you, my dear ones, know the truth, or you are learning the truth, I should say, because if you knew the truth, we would not be having this conversation. You would already be here where I am, and maybe helping others. You are learning the truth. You're learning to be happy and to be joyful, to allow the light to shine through you, to allow God's love to be manifest in all conditions in your life. You are learning this. And when you find yourself not doing it, what do? Do you wallow in your misery for a while? Or do you draw yourself up short and open the door to God's love and light and let it shine through? Yes, I hear some of your thoughts. It is difficult to do this when you're in the middle of it. It is difficult for you to turn off the anger and the frustration and all those other garbage feelings just like that. But you can learn to do this. And you are learning to do it. And some of you know this and have been demonstrating it at times. And we commend you for it. We love you, my dear ones, no matter what kind of grade you are making in your test. We love you dearly. We have to talk to you about these things. We have to speak to you so that you can remember to remind yourself. It is not that we are judging you. It is that we are reminding you to remember, because that little self, or your subconscious, will make you forget. And you know this. It will make you forget that you are being miserable, that you are allowing yourself to be unhappy, that you're allowing outside things to bring you down. And for a while you go on with it until you awaken. And sometimes it is the next day before you awaken. When you go to sleep at night, my dear ones, we do work with you on this side of the veil. We do talk to you and counsel you and encourage you. And you do go to class and receive so much more from this side of the veil than you do at this moment, because you are not limited by time or space here. And we can communicate with you through thought transference, and you get so much more. And when you awaken in the morning, some of you have your best opportunity to remember the truth and remember, oh yes, this happened yesterday or the day before, and I allowed it to upset me, and so on. When you come back to this realm, immediately think to yourself, God is love, and I am God's love, and God loves me dearly, and I am learning to love myself. And this will open the door to some of the understanding that you have received from this side of the veil. Try to remember as you awaken to your physical plane, even if you lay down for a nap in the afternoon, or if you become quiet and you drift off a little bit, you may bring back much understanding. We encourage you to write this down on paper and keep notes so that it stays with you and you can go back over it and remember what you have received. Your subconscious, your little self, is tricky, and it will delude you much of the time. And this is why that we have to bring you this kind of message now and then. This is why that you need to be reminded. Now, would you like to ask questions or maybe bring a lighter note to this channeling this evening? Could I ask you, do you feel that we're being too harsh with you and concentrating too much on these things?
No. No, at all. This is the instruction that's helpful.
If you have risen above the things that we have talked about, then You do not need to hear them. But if you have not, then do you not think that you needed to hear them again? Are there questions or comments that you would make this evening?
I'm trying. I have been abrupt with the telephone when, for instance, all these people call and try to sell you something or keep you dangling. And I have been abrupt with them in the past. But every time now when the telephone rings, I think, you better be kind. You better be kind.
Yes. It might be a good idea to send love into the one who is calling. It may be a good friend, or it may be a salesman doing their job to try to sell you some insurance or something that you may need or you may not need.
It seems like a pity to keep them talking just to make them feel good. I mean, when you know you're not going to buy anyway.
Yes. It would be well to be a little abrupt, to say, no, this is not for me. Thank you for calling anyway, and I wish you well.
Thank you.
You can be loving and kind to anyone and everyone, even if you do it silently. There are times when some are so irritated with themselves that if you respond outwardly, it only brings more irritation. But you know the tool of sending God's love, and you can send it to them silently and be loving.
I feel that it's getting better.
Yes. Are there other questions or comments that you would have this evening?
I just have a comment. I'd just like to thank him for his lesson tonight because of my son. I felt it was like instructions on how to get out the old ruts that you get into every once in a while.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, you are welcome. It is our privilege to be with you, and it is not easy for us to use your language and bring this kind of message. It is difficult to bring this kind of message and be loving about it because of the words in your language and the way that you use your language. In order to communicate with you sometimes, we have to be direct. And in order for you to hear, we have to be direct. There are times when you turn us off, whether it is on Wednesday nights or whether it is through the day when we are with you and trying to influence you by sending you thoughts of love and helping you when you ask for direction. Sometimes you are open, and sometimes you are just frustrated with yourself and do not allow yourself to calm down enough, to be at peace enough for us to get through to you. I would have you to remember this. When you are depressed, when you feel irritated, when you feel there's not an answer to these things that you are trying to accomplish, be at peace. Give up. Send love into it and release it to God. God has many, many helpers, and they have gone through experiences such as yours and risen above them. They do understand, and they are with you and can help you, can inspire you, can give you the answers when you are open enough to hear. And I would have you to think of the subject of our class tonight and use this technique of opening a door when you are in a confused state or irritated state. Whether you feel sincere about it or not, go ahead and in your inner image, open this door and let light step into the light and move in to another room of consciousness. Try to relax and be at peace. Then we can come in and reach you. There is an answer for everything.
I don't see how you could help us more than you are doing by being direct. Otherwise, you would just waste your time and ours.
Yes, some resent this, and some would like to have other kinds of messages. But we feel we can look a little way ahead of time and see who is going to be here this evening. There is a short span of what you think of as time that we can see into. And so it is, the plan is made. And we do have a council that we talk about your group. And we talked about what should be the message for this time and how we should bring it. And all of the council are here and lending their love. There's a council of 20 and sometimes more. And there are many who are not in your group that could be in your group, but have chosen another way for this time, but may come into your group later on. Everyone has a certain way of responding and reacting to teachings, and we try to influence them with their permission when we talk to them at night, when they're resting from their bodies, to go to a certain group or class that will give them the best opportunity to understand and to move forward in consciousness.
I think the best one we get it right here.
It is the best for you, my dear, but there are other things for other individuals that they need, because everyone is very different. And think of how many billions of entities are on your planet. And besides, they could not fit their bodies all in this room, could they? No. Are there other questions or comments that you would make this evening?
To summarize or review in our minds, in our meditation or prayers, if we call upon Yadon or some other helper to review, we would think in terms of opening the door in being more loving, more kind to others, not only thinking in our own lives, but in our actions to the others, demonstrating the beginnings of a higher level of consciousness.
Yes.
Your help in the meditations for these summaries to nudge us along.
This is good. This is good. This gives us permission to come in a little bit stronger so that you might hear.
Strong.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And when you ask and give your permission, then can we shine God's love and light into your being with the words that you might understand, the impressions that would give you the counseling, the inner counseling that would help you at that moment. You see, my dear ones, we do look into your hearts. We know much more about you than you know about yourself, for we know you from a long ways in the past, and what your plans are a long way in the future. And this gives us an advantage to help you when you let us. But because God has given you freedom, and this is such a precious gift, and we would not think of invading it. But when you open the door to us, then can we help you so much more.
When we come in here, our door is wide open. I think that's true of all of us.
Yes, when you come to a class as this, you are saying, I want to hear, I want to understand, I want instruction.
Raise my vibration.
With divine love. Divine love is the key to all things. Loving yourself first, then loving the conditions around you, the individuals around you, the world as a whole, and the universe. Let the love of God be felt in your being, and use your inner image to see it spreading out from you in all directions. And when you are confronted with others, the test time comes to react in a negative way or in a loving way. And if you react in a negative way, what is the answer to this?
If we have a second to remember what we're going to do before we react, it helps tremendously.
Yes. But when you find yourself reacting in a way that is less than loving, what is causing this?
Lack of preparation.
Trying to change others instead of changing ourselves.
Can't do it.
There is another answer. And we're letting this be a schoolroom tonight, are we not? When you are being blessed and loving about a situation that you find yourself in, where do you look for the answers? I'm happy that if I have said to make others happy, I have misspoken.
I was a little afraid we might have a problem in translation there.
Yes. when you are at peace within yourself, when you feel joy and you feel God's love, then you automatically radiate this out from you. And if others are open, they may pick it up, and it may help them a little. But it is not your doing, it is their doing. Remember that all suggestion is self-suggestion, and it is just as true with this. The radiations of love go out from you, but the other individual does not have to accept them.
But they're very powerful, and people do react.
Not especially. They can just reject them and not accept them. You send the love and release it to God. It will stay in their aura for a while, and if they do not use it, then it will be dissipated.
It's surprising how strangers react.
Yes, when they are open and they do accept it, yes, they do react in a wonderful way. And many, many are open. Everyone wants to be open to love. Everyone wants to love and be loved.
When I walk in the morning, I greet everybody. And some of them answer back and some of them don't. But it doesn't bother me if they don't answer back. I just go on.
Yeah. It is their business anyway, whether they greet you back or not. It has nothing to do with you. It is not your business or your concern, and you should not be offended by it.
I'm not.
Yes.
I had a question about the feeling irritated.
Yes.
I've been learning about being grateful or thanking God for this person in my life to show me something about my stuff. Now, is it important for me to understand on an intellectual level the part of me that's reacting, or can I just go about my business?
At some time, you will need to understand why you are reacting and to correct the misunderstanding. You see, we react in a negative emotional way because we do not understand. It is not something we do on purpose just to be doing something. It is a misunderstanding about life. For example, you have been taught that everyone is doing the best that they can at the moment. But when someone is giving you a bad time, you may not remember this, and you may react by not remembering it. And when you have calmed down, then you may remember that that is their problem and not yours, and that if you accept their negative suggestion, then that is where you are involved. Do you understand? Yes. This comes so automatically because we have done it for so long that we forget to remember our lessons, these basic lessons. And this is why we are talking about them tonight, because they are necessary, very necessary, before you can reach higher in consciousness to be able to handle these foundation, shall we say, lessons. the thing that you need to build into your foundations is to accept others as they are and realize that they are doing the best that they can, to accept the world as you find it, and to realize that it is just a play on a stage, and that everyone has a role to play, to learn through, and whatever role that they are playing, it is necessary for them, because that is what they need to learn. And it need not affect you unless you allow it into your consciousness, unless you open the door for it to come in. And when you do this, then remember that that is a lesson that you have not yet learned. And so instead of judging or criticizing the other, do not criticize yourself, but mark this well and look within and send God's love and ask for his light of understanding. Remember that divine light is a symbol of understanding, and it is through understanding that we learn. When you are confused, and when you make the same mistake over and over, it is because that you do not understand. When the same negative condition comes to you time and time again, it is something that you are putting out into the ethers that you are not consciously aware of, or that you are doing without being in conscious control of it. You of yourself, your physical little self, can do nothing of this, but the God within you and God's love can help you to rise above this through understanding. And that is what your foundation is built out of, is understanding. And it gives you then something to stand upon that will hold you up. When another thing like this comes around again, and you have the understanding, then it does not bother you. It concerns you not, and you go about your doing whatever you're doing without being disturbed or interfered with. Are there other questions this evening? It has been a wonderful time to be with you, and I know that it has been a time of looking at ourselves and time of learning to be honest with ourselves. Remember that it is much easier to be honest with others than it is to be honest with ourselves, because we are too close to ourselves, and we have these habit patterns that we have reinforced for so long that we are not consciously aware of them. And this is where the little red book called 7-Day Mental Diet comes in. Read it over and allow the understanding to come through. Send love into yourself often, and learn to be joyful and be happy and to be loving. God bless you, each one. It has been a privilege to be with you. We love you.